StrayAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Topic of this video is you play to win the game. Talking about this subject because it got sparked by me seeing people talking about when the Team USA won the Olympics and LeBron James got MVP of the Olympics. People were like, well, this is further proof, or this solidifies the proof that LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, which doesn't really make sense. This is not about LeBron and Michael Jordan. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime in the future, but it doesn't really make sense because FIBA is only, the Olympics is what, how many games they play? Like 8, like a handful of games they play in order to win. And the thing that makes one player better than others is what they did in the NBA, not what you did in the Olympics, when USA every time has the best team, the most talented team from top to bottom. So anyway, it got me thinking as I was considering it, because I'm seeing people talking about it, and you got half the people say Jordan, half the people say LeBron. Like the object, and people were throwing out stats. Well, LeBron had these stats, and Jordan had these stats, and this and that. I'm thinking to myself, stats is not the comparative, that's not the way that we analyze people in sports, especially in the sports world. So this conversation is rooted in the sports world, because in the sports world, how you compare people and teams is through winning. That's the objective of sports. That's why the title of this video is you play to win the game. The purpose of playing a sport is to win the game. So if you're going to compare two players who have equal positions, equal roles, what you're comparing is who is winning the game more often. I mean, that's literally what the Olympics is. The person who wins is the gold medal, second place is silver medal, and third place is bronze, and everybody else gets nothing. Isn't that how it works? So you play to win the game. Now, what does this have to do with you if you are not a professional athlete? What it has to do with you is a little bit more of a challenge for you if you're not a professional athlete, because your win is not so clearly defined. But it can be clearly defined because that's your job. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this. Your job is to define what a win is. What is your win? What would need to happen for you to say today or this year or this quarter or my career, whatever it is, what would make this a win for me? You need to clearly define what a win is. And when your win is clearly defined, the thing that goes on top of that is understanding that everything that you do in the process of getting to that win is simply a means to an end. So how does this relate back to LeBron, Michael Jordan? Stats, because some people go, well, here was LeBron's stats this year versus Jordan's stats, as if it's proving that one player is better than the other because of their stats. Stats is a means to an end. So any of you who's a basketball fan, anytime you're defending a player by talking about their stats, you've lost the plot. The purpose of the game is not to get the best stats. Stats are things that you accumulate in the process of doing things to help your team win the game. Stats is not the goal. The goal is not for me to say I got better stats than you, even though that's the way a lot of people like to compare things. The goal is to win the game, and I'll happen to accumulate stats in the process of trying to win games. What happens is, and what has happened is, a lot of players, though, and their fans tend to focus on stats more than they focus on winning, which is why they end up getting stats, but they don't get wins. This is how you get a lot of players who are very skilled, talented players, and they have impressive statistics, but they don't have any championships, no rings, even though they got all these stats, because they've lost the plot and they're focused on the wrong thing. So your thing is understanding that there's a clear outcome, and your win needs to be clear. It needs to be clear. It needs to be singular. Your win needs to be singular, meaning your win can't be 3 or 4 things all at the same time. And the reason why it can't, because at some point, some of those 3 or 4 things are going to be in conflict with each other. So it's like, if you say my win is I want to lead the league in scoring and I want to win the championship, let's just say as example, as an athlete, at some point they may come in conflict, because at some point, maybe a couple of your teammates are doing really well scoring, and sharing the ball with them and letting them score points that take away from your ability to score will help the team win. So which one is more important? Is it making sure you lead the league in scoring, which means not sharing the ball as much and using your teammates? Or is it winning, which means sharing the ball more, letting your teammates build their confidence so that y'all are better prepared to win the championship? You may not be able to achieve all the goals at the same time. So you got to be clear, what is the win? If push comes to shove, and one of these has to be sacrificed, which one or ones am I willing to sacrifice, all in the name of achieving this one? And the thing is, many people never ask themselves this question because they never think about it in this way. Therefore, they're trying to chase, as they say, trying to chase more than one rabbit. Try to chase two rabbits, you catch neither one. What is the goal? What's the focus? Everything else becomes a means to the end. And then when you are clear on what the goal is, everything needs to be dedicated to that. Everything you do needs to be dedicated to achieving that win, whatever it is for you. And again, in the sports world, it's pretty clear because the objective is winning the game, and there's a scoreboard that says, here's first place, here's second place, here's the winner, here's the loser. Whereas in every other aspect of life is not so clearly defined, which means you had to do the work of defining what the win is for you. And if you don't do that work, then what happens is you end up in what we call tactical hell, where you're working really hard and you're putting forth a lot of effort and it's taking a lot of time and energy. But since you haven't clearly defined what the goal is, what the clearly defined win is, despite all your efforts, you may still feel like you're not really making any progress because you're like, well, where am I going? What am I doing here? Because you haven't clearly defined where you're going. Now, if you can't clearly define a win, you don't know where you're going. So it doesn't matter where you drive. You can drive as far as you want. Use all the gas, run down the tires, need an oil change, but you still haven't made any progress because you haven't clearly defined where the navigation is supposed to be taking you. Everybody following my metaphor here? So work on your game university. This is where I work with top level people who are high level performers to get these goals clearly defined, clearly lay out what needs to happen, clearly put into a hierarchy the means to the ends of achieving the goal, which is all the other stuff that you do in order to achieve the win, and then make sure that everybody is and everything is staying on focus to actually getting to the outcome that we want to get to. All that happens in the university, but we only work with top level performers. So if that's not you, I'm not talking to you. Enjoy the video. But if you are a top level person, top 2%, or you want to be, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Links down below in the description. Work on your game. Dre all day.